It's $9.99. That's the number on the screen. Not 900, not 9,000, 999, and it didn't go through. You're standing in your kitchen at 11:40 at night reading a notification about a payment that failed. The card on file expired. That's all. It's not even a money problem. It's an administrative problem. But your stomach does the thing it always does, that small drop, before your brain catches up and tells you it's fine. And that's the part you notice. Not the $10, the drop. The fact that after everything, after the raises and the promotions and the years, a $9.99 notification can still reach into your chest and squeeze. You fix it in 40 seconds. New card, submit, confirmed. You put the phone face down on the counter. Then you stand there in the dark kitchen and you think something you've never thought before. Somebody, somewhere, has a number in an account. And because of that number, this notification cannot reach them. Not because they're rich, because their bills are being paid by something that isn't their hours. There's a number where the mail stops. 7 levels, $10,000 to $1 million. And at every level, one more bill gets taken off your back permanently. Not one more thing you can afford, one more thing you never have to pay again. You're 25, $12,500, 2.5 years of putting away a little every month while everyone around you didn't. No inheritance, no windfall, just a boring transfer on the 15th that you set up once and never touched. At a 4% yield, that money pays you $500 a year. $500. Your phone bill is $32 a month. Your internet is $12. Split with a roommate, $44 a month, $528 a year. You are 1 month of saving away from never paying a phone bill again. Not affording it, never paying it. The money that covers it doesn't come out of your check anymore. It comes out of ownership. You sit at your kitchen table and you do the math on a napkin because it feels too small to open a spreadsheet for. Then you look at the number on the napkin for longer than it deserves. Here's what nobody tells you at this level. There are 2 kinds of money in the stock market. There's the price going up, which you don't control and can't spend. And there's the yield, which is a company handing you cash for owning a piece of it 4 times a year, whether the price went up or down that quarter. Most people at 25 chase the first one. It's louder. It's the one on the news. You buy the second one. Your coworker gets the new phone that fall. $1,100, financed at $46 a month for 24 months. He shows it to you at lunch and does the thing where he holds it at an angle. He says the camera is insane. He'll say the same sentence about a different phone in 22 months. He is paying $46 a month for a phone. You are being paid $44 a month by a number in an app. You say nothing. You don't say anything at any of these levels. That's part of it. A bill you no longer pay is a raise nobody has to approve. You're 28. $25,000. It took 3 more years, and about 1,100 of it you never earned at all. It was dividends you didn't spend. It pays you $1,000 a year. Your electric bill averages $68 a month. Your water is $14. That's $984 a year. Every light in your apartment is now free. You realize this on a Tuesday in January, standing in the hallway with your hand on the thermostat. It's cold. You've spent your entire adult life doing a small calculation before touching that dial. How cold is it? How much does it cost? Can it wait until you're under a blanket? You turn it up 2 degrees. Nothing happens. No feeling. No triumph. Just warm air and the very quiet absence of a calculation you've run 10,000 times. That's what this level actually is. Not comfort. The deletion of a small, ongoing arithmetic that has been running in the back of your head since you were 19. The mechanic that got you here is one button. When the dividend hits your account, you don't move it to checking. You click reinvest. The cash buys more shares automatically, and those shares pay dividends, and those dividends buy more shares. Nobody sees it happen. There is no moment. It's the least exciting button in finance, and it's the one doing all the work. Your friend from work is redoing his place that winter. Smart thermostat, smart bulbs, an app that shows him his usage in real time. $400 of hardware to optimize a bill. His bill goes from 71 to 63. Yours goes to 0, and you didn't install anything. Everyone's trying to lower the bill. Almost nobody is trying to delete it. You're 31. $50,000. Halfway to the number people put on vision boards, and you have told exactly 0 people about it. It pays you $2,000 a year. Your car insurance is $94 a month. You spend about $80 a month on gas. $2,088 a year. You will never pay for fuel or insurance again. 6:40 on a Thursday morning in March. Rain. Pump number 4. The card reader is slow, and there's a guy behind you doing the thing where he leans on his horn for a quarter second like it's an accident. $41 and change. Regular. You watch the numbers roll up on the display, and you know, in a very specific and undramatic way, that a company you own a small piece of paid for this tank of gas 11 weeks ago, and you didn't notice at the time. You get back in the car, the heater takes a minute. You sit. There's a thing that starts happening around here that almost nobody talks about, and it's the most underrated force in the entire strategy. Good dividend payers don't just pay you, they raise what they pay you. A company yielding 4% that increases its dividend 6% a year is handing you a raise every single year, on time, without a review, without a conversation, without a manager deciding whether you deserve it. You have gotten 3 raises at your job in 9 years. You have gotten 9 from the account. Your neighbor leases a new car that spring. Nice one. His insurance goes up $31 a month because full coverage is required on a lease. He mentions it in the driveway like a joke. He's now paying more per month for the privilege of insuring a car he doesn't own than you paid for gas the entire year you were 25. The only raise you'll ever get that nobody has to sign. You're 34, 6 figures. The number your father talked about like a door. It pays you $4,000 a year. You spend about $320 a month on groceries, $3,840 a year. Every meal you eat at home for the rest of your life is covered. Self-checkout, Saturday morning, the machine telling you to place the item in the bagging area for the 3rd time. $104.61. Chicken, eggs, rice, coffee, the good olive oil because you decided 2 years ago that was a hill worth nothing at all. You tap the card and you think, I didn't pay for that. Nobody in this store knows. The woman behind you with the toddler doesn't know. The kid scanning produce codes doesn't know. There is no visible difference between you and every other person in this building. That's the entire point. This is also the level where you get tested. Someone will show you a stock yielding 11%. It will be real. The website will be real, the payment history will be real, and the math will be extremely seductive. 11% on 100,000 is 11,000 a year instead of 4. Here's the number that tells you the truth. It's called the payout ratio. How much of the company's actual earnings are going out the door as dividends? Under about 60%, the dividend is being paid out of profit. Over 100%, the company is paying you with money it doesn't have, and the only question left is which quarter they cut it. A yield that high is almost never generosity. It's usually a share price that already collapsed, and the yield only looks enormous because the denominator fell out from under it. A friend from college puts $12,000 into one that year. He texts you the screenshot. You tell him to check the payout ratio. He sends back a laughing emoji. 7 months later, the dividend gets cut by half, and the price is down another 34%. He doesn't bring it up again, and you never ask. You keep the boring one. You keep buying groceries you didn't pay for. 11% isn't an opportunity. It's a countdown. You're 37. $250,000. Nobody at your job knows. Not one person. It pays you $10,000 a year. The average new car payment in America is around $740 a month. Yours is 0, because you drive a 2019 sedan you paid off in cash 6 years ago. But if you wanted one, the whole thing, payment, insurance, maintenance, tires, registration, it's covered. You are functionally driving for free forever. Traffic, a Tuesday, the on-ramp, the truck in the lane beside you is enormous and 11 weeks old, and the man driving it is having a phone conversation you can hear through 2 closed windows. His jaw is doing something. You know that jaw. You had that jaw at 26. He is $890 a month into that truck for 69 more months. You're not better than him. You just made a different trade. He traded $10,000 a year for the feeling of arriving. You traded the feeling of arriving for $10,000 a year forever, that you never have to earn again. This is also where the tax thing starts to matter. Not all dividends are taxed the same. There are qualified dividends from most established U.S. companies if you've held the shares long enough, and they're taxed at long-term capital gains rates, which are dramatically lower than income rates. And there are ordinary dividends from things like REITs and certain funds taxed at your full income rate. Two accounts. Same $10,000 a year on paper. One of them keeps thousands more. The difference isn't skill, it's what you bought. Most people at 37 have a car that takes a piece of every month. Yours doesn't take anything. Most people's cars own part of their month. Yours owns nothing. You're 40, $500,000. It pays you $20,000 a year. The largest number in your life. Rent or a mortgage payment in most of this country. The one you've been paying since you were 19, first on a card that got declined once at a leasing office in front of two people, then on time, then early, for 21 years. Gone. The first of the month arrives and you open the portal and it says paid. You didn't do anything. The transfer went out automatically from an account funded by a decision you made when you were 23. You stand in your own living room for a second like you're in someone else's. This is the level financial planners have been circling for 30 years. It's called the 4% rule, and it comes out of research on how much a portfolio can sustainably support over a long retirement. At $500,000, roughly $20,000 a year is the floor of a life. Not a good life necessarily. A floor. Housing, power, water, food, transport. The base of the pyramid. Permanent, which means something changed at your job and nobody there can see it. Friday, 4:52 in the afternoon. Your manager appears in the doorway with the specific apologetic posture of a man about to ask for your evening. 2 years ago, the yes was out of your mouth before he finished the sentence. This time there's a pause, maybe a second and a half, long enough that you notice it, and he doesn't. You say yes, but the yes came from a different place. It was a decision instead of a reflex, and the difference between those two things is the only thing $500,000 actually bought you. You drive home. You eat leftovers standing up. You go to bed at 11 and you don't check the account because you already know what it says, and it says the same thing every month. Rent is the biggest number in most people's lives. It's the last one they ever believe they can beat. You're 43, $1 million. It pays you $40,000 a year. Not the phone, not the lights, not the gas, the groceries, the car, the rent. Those are already gone 3 levels back. This is the rest of it. The dentist, the insurance deductible, the flight home in December, the thing that breaks in October, that always breaks in October. Every bill you have. You sit at the kitchen table on a Tuesday night, the same table, a different apartment, and you open a tax calculator, which you have somehow never done in your entire life. $40,000 in qualified dividends. Single filer, no other income. Enter, 0. You check it 3 times. It's real. Once the standard deduction comes off, the remaining taxable income lands inside the 0% bracket for qualified dividends. The person sitting next to you at work, making the exact same $40,000 from a salary, loses a chunk of it before it ever touches their account. You will keep all of it. You don't celebrate. You just sit there with your hand around a cold cup of coffee, thinking about the version of you standing in a dark kitchen 18 years ago, gut-punched by a payment for $9.99. The next morning, your manager runs through quarterly objectives, and you take notes, and you ask a question, and you participate. You could not come in on Monday, and nothing about your life would change. Nobody knows. That's not sad. That's the whole product. $1 million doesn't buy a car or a house or a story anyone tells about you at a party. $1 million doesn't buy things. It buys the end of the mail. But there's an 8th one. You worked it out at 43, sitting at that table with the calculator still open. And once you saw it, you couldn't stop seeing it. Every bill you've killed had a company behind it. A phone company, a utility, a landlord. Somebody printed a number, somebody sent it, and every month it arrived, and you paid it. There's one that nobody ever sent you. 40 hours a week, every week, since you were 19. Automatically withdrawn every Monday morning at 6:15 when the alarm goes off. No invoice, no confirmation email, no card on file to expire. 2,000 hours a year, 24 years, and not one of them appeared on a statement anywhere. It's the largest bill you have ever paid in your life, and it was never once itemized. That's what the 7 levels were actually doing. Not lowering your expenses, buying back the hours you were spending to cover them. The phone was 2 weeks of your year. The lights were 3. The gas and insurance, 5. Groceries, 9. The car, 24. Rent, 48. Add them up and the number stops being about money. At $1 million, the auto pay stops. Somewhere right now, it's 11:40 at night and someone is standing in a dark kitchen holding a phone. $9.99. The card on file expired. TTI dot. They quote, "I'll fix it in 40 seconds," and they'll feel that small drop in their chest anyway, and they won't be able to explain to anyone why a $10 notification did that. They don't know yet that it isn't about the $10. It's about the fact that every dollar they have ever spent came out of an hour, and there is a number, a specific, boring, reachable number, where that stops being true. The bills never stop coming. You just stop being the one who pays them.